Webster's dictionary defines the act of lying as creating a false or misleading impression, a description that is adequate but misleading itself. It fails to capture the consequences and the effects that a lie has on both the liar and the person or people being lied to. To tell us more, please welcome Kenny Kadar with his fourth speech from the CC manual entitled The Truth About Lying.
Mr. Toastmaster. Edgar Mon said, "A lie has speed, but truth has endurance." A lie may take care of the present, but it has no future. We may receive some short-term benefits through lies, but in the end, they all tend to fade. And the long-term benefits and rewards from being honest, truthful, and upfront are always greater. So then why do we lie? Think about it for a second. Why do you tell a lie? Oftentimes, it's because we want to avoid a punishment or a consequence. Sometimes we know the things that we're doing are wrong, or we'll be punished for it, and we don't want to admit that to the person. Think about the cheating spouse. That person is being unfaithful to somebody that they said at once upon a time that they would stay together till death did them part. And they know that the consequences of cheating might lead to a breakup. So rather than admitting the truth, they proceed on with the lie. Another reason that we lie is to gain advantage when we think the rewards are greater than the risks of getting caught. You can often see this in the job interview process. People often lie on their resumes. I'd like to tell you the story about George O'Leary. Now in 2001, George O'Leary was hired to be the head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish football team, one of the most famous and prestigious coaching jobs in the country. But George O'Leary got the job by padding his resume. He had claimed that he had earned a master's degree from a school that didn't exist. Think about that for a second. He also said he lettered 3 years in varsity football from his university when the records had showed that he had not played in one game. 5 days after being hired by the University of Notre Dame, his lies were discovered, and he was forced to resign. Other times we lie out of politeness, those white lies. When you tell your pregnant wife that she doesn't look fat that day. Or your friend that he looks great even though he's hungover and his hair is 5 feet high into the air. Sometimes it's just easier to tell a lie, although it seems like Annie has friends who don't do that. And the last reason is really to hide an insecurity or an anxiety. Sometimes a lie just sounds better than the truth. Isn't it funny how women tend to weigh less on their driver's license than they do when they get on a scale? Don't count me, ladies. But most of the time, the truth is discovered. We don't really get away with our lies. And in the end, it only exacerbates the issue that we're trying to hide from. I'd like to tell you the story about Roberto Rojas, a Chilean soccer player, a goalkeeper, a good one at that. He won 3 national championships on his Chilean club team in the 80s and was selected to be the goalkeeper for the national team. Now in 1989, the team was playing for World Cup qualifying games to qualify for the World Cup. And they had a match against Brazil. If Chile had lost that game, they would have been eliminated from the World Cup. And in the 70th minute, Chile down 1-0, Roberto Rojas fell to the ground, writhing in pain, his head bloodied. See, a firework had been thrown onto the field, and it had caused a laceration on his forehead, or at least that's what everybody thought. The Chilean team said the conditions were unsafe, and they fled the field, causing the game to be postponed, an indecision to be played later. But later, when authorities looked at the tape, they saw that Roberto Rojas hadn't been injured by the firework. In fact, he had hidden a razor blade in his goalie glove and cut himself. The event is a black mark in Chilean sports. They immediately received the loss for the game, losing 2-0, and Roberto Rojas was banned for life from ever playing again. His team was also banned from playing in the 1994 World Cup. If you were to look up Roberto Rojas, you might see something about his 3 national championships, or the fact that he was a good player, but I guarantee the very first thing you'll see about him was this incident in 1989. It regularly shows up on the ugliest moments of sports list. He always cracks the top 10. Always. His deceit defined him. He became known for his lie. And worse, because he was banned for life, he was unable to atone, unable to make up for his performance. And not only that, he let his countrymen down as they were unable to perform in later events. The cruelest lies were often told in silence. We often think that, blatant lie, like saying Michael's not wearing a kippah or I never wear a suit, is the only type of lie. But sometimes avoidance is the biggest form of lie. And I recently had some experience with that in my family. My parents have been divorced since I've been in 1st grade. And this year my dad remarried. I thought it was his 2nd marriage, but I found out that it was his 3rd. My dad had been married before he was married to my mom. I lived 26 years without knowing that, knowing a key part about my dad's life, somebody very close, somebody important to me. And when I found out, I felt deceived. I felt like I had been lied to, like the person that I had known all my life wasn't really the person who was standing in front of me. Because the cruelest lies are often told in silence. Now I'd like to leave you guys today with a quote from Tad Williams, who said, "We lie when we are afraid. Afraid of what we don't know, afraid of what others might think, and afraid of what might be found out about us. But every time we lie, that thing we fear becomes stronger." Mr. Toastmaster.